People are looking for things different on social. The moment it looks like something else they've already seen, they're scrolling and they forgot about it. But the second you kind of shake the pattern and change everything they're used to, that is when they can start paying attention to your social. I think there's a couple things you got to focus on. You need to add value early on. If you don't make people feel something when they're scrolling, they're going to keep scrolling. Even going viral once is not easy. Most B2B brands will never experience it, right? They won't go viral because they won't change their strategy. They'll keep following the rules. Once you do go viral, it's a whole nother thing to start going viral consistently. That's a whole different challenge. You need to create employee-led content, founder-led content. Now you really need to win on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you need to win. The best way to win on LinkedIn is to build in public. So what I do to build in public is I set this audacious goal. Tell the world my goal, 200 million impressions. Hold me to it.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to leverage social media to become a $4 billion company. My guest is Chris Cunningham. Chris has been at the start of ClickUp since January 2017. ClickUp is the everything work app used by over 2 million teams. They raised in total $435 million with their latest $400 million Series C in 2021, which made them a $4 billion company. Chris started as the VP of sales, took CS with it for a while before moving fully over to brand and social media. He's now the head of social media. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Excited to be here, man. You nailed that. It's a lot happening. I still pinch myself to know that we're a $4 billion company, but still work to do, right? We're not public yet. We're still fighting giants. There's still a lot of releases to go.
Nice. We're going to learn a lot more from ClickUp and from the journey, from all the questions I'm going to ask. Maybe even a question to begin with. If I remember correctly from a LinkedIn post, you guys want to have 2 million views every month on your social media.
So more than two, we're going for 200 million. So 200 million a month. We're averaging about 155 right now. And the goal is to get to 200 million impressions every single month.
200 million impressions every month. Well, cool. We're going to break it down for everybody. So I guess this is the end goal for people. And now we're going to talk about how to actually get there.
Yeah.
So let's go to the early days. How did ClickUp leverage social media in the early days when you guys didn't have the brand you have today?
In the early days, the way that we took advantage of social was just creating more. We didn't have all the high-end cameras. We didn't have that look, but we knew how to make people laugh. I think that's something that still holds true today. And so what we'd do is we had like a little green screen. We had a very inexpensive camera because back then I don't think the phones really would work. So we had a camera. It might have been the best. A lot of it would just be me shooting and attempting to be funny. I made raps, did things that you see a lot of people do now, but I did it earlier. And it's not that it was super well executed, but it was different. And that's where we got a taste. We had like one little rap video I did do pretty well, right? And I'm not talking like, millions like today, but close to 100,000 or something like that. And that was still good for us. That got people noticing us. And what we got really good at was executing when they did. So if anyone commented, if anyone, engaged, follow, we made sure to hit them up. And, me being the first sales rep, I would take any lead I could get because no one knew who ClickUp was, right? We're fighting these major companies. So when someone was shopping, they were just going to go after the main 10 tools. And that was it. So our goal was just to be seen. And that's how we use social media. We didn't really have money for ads. We didn't even really know how to run them, but we did know how to create posts online consistently. And then from that, we would meet people, get in contact. And that's where I would also, since I was on the videos, it was easy for me to reach out because I'm also the guy selling to you. And then I was also the guy helping you with customer service. So it's kind of all around and became like a face of the brand.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of SaaS companies have at the beginning, right? Where it's the founder who does everything. So I guess besides being different and posting, also engaging and actually making sure you follow up on them.
Huge. Yeah. What I love about it is even Zeb, our CEO, who's building the product, would also hop in and respond to tickets. That was always really cool for me to see. And honestly, a lot of times I'd have to bring him onto our sales calls as well. He would go camera off and use a different name. He would use the name Tyler. That way people didn't think the company was so small that the CEO was the sales solutions engineer. That was a little trick we played for a while until we got bigger and started bringing on those positions.
Nice. Yeah, I heard a really good story about that. One of your biggest clients who in the end found out that Tyler isn't actually Tyler.
That was Randstad. So Randstad was the first major company I closed. About a year later, maybe even 7 or 8 months later, he was speaking to the company. They had him come and he was speaking and someone just stands up and they're like, "You're Tyler." And he was like, "Yeah, so we were we thought they'd be mad, but they really were just impressed that we were able to do that and that we were so small and took so much care. Luckily, it worked out great and they were happy clients. I'll never forget that moment when we got caught for acting like we were a little larger than we were.
Love it. And regarding social media at the beginning, I did quite some research before this one. I think you also use it to track negative reviews, to stalk certain groups. Can you tell me a bit more? How can people leverage social media also by not posting?
And this was my number one tool. If you want to get to 10 million ARR, if you want to grow to a big company, you need to be scrappy, right? You need to be scouring the internet. And there's two things we did that I would say really helped us stand out. And you can find what these are for your company and your industry. Number one, we built a tool called AppGator. AppGator would give me leads anytime someone on social media or on Capterra, GetApp, any of these major review platforms, anytime someone gave a bad review or something negative about our competitors, I would get a direct lead and it would come in through the tool AppGator that we built. And then from there, I could find them on LinkedIn or maybe their email. And I would start reaching out and saying, hey, look, I understand why you hate Asana. You know, we do too. That's why we built this tool, something more flexible. I would say, I know we're newer, but give us a shot. You've probably already tried all the other tools. We're shipping every single week. You can talk to me anytime. You can see everything we're doing. Why not give us a shot? And I think that's what really worked for us early on, is that some people would still be skeptical, right? There's certain people who are always just going to still go with a big company. And that's fine. But there were some people who were really into tech and they saw what we were building. And that's kind of the community and what we built early on. The second thing we did is by being on social media and seeing all these different, watching our competitors and learning from them, that's where we found out that one of our competitors was actually going under. Productive was going to shut down and they were going to literally just end everyone's contract with no export. So people would have nowhere to go, lose all of their data, all of their work over who knows how long. Our CTO and co-founder, Alex Yurkowski, was just an absolute genius. It was like, look, this might take me some days, but I can build that export. And so he stays up and he built that export. And then I was able to come into that Facebook group and say, hey, look, everyone here at Productive, spread the word. I know you guys thought you're losing all your work. You're not. You're coming over to ClickUp. Here's the tools, how to do it. Here's the export. Do you have any questions? We'll be up all day, all night to help anyone move over. We want as many customers as we can. And so significantly, we grew a lot after that and had a lot of customers going, so much so that I had to hire more reps. And that's when I started bringing on customer service reps and all that. So those two scrappy moves, paying attention to social, kept us on the pulse of what's going on, allowed us cool opportunities to bring on more clients. So I think that was a very big stepping stone for ClickUp.
Nice. And when we go back to posting, how did you guys decide which platform to use and which were most effective for ClickUp?
We were always testing, right? But our goal at the beginning was being omnipresent. We were everywhere. Twitter was actually an early one for us. Twitter was working pretty well. And it's funny, the tables have kind of turned now. I would say Twitter we get less from, even though it's still a lot of great founders and stuff. It's just been a little harder as a brand to go viral. And Instagram was good for us early on. And then now that has changed. Like now our main focus is more TikTok and LinkedIn, mostly LinkedIn. But that, again, we would never, you still have to be trying everything and adjust. And obviously that changed. But at the beginning, we were just trying everything. We were posting everywhere we could, putting everything out we could, trying to create new types of content. And the goal was not really to, at the beginning, it's easy to look at your competitors and think, oh, I should do what they're doing. But that's literally the last thing you should do. You need to find your own wave, your own strategy, your own style, because people are looking for things different on social. The moment it looks like something else they've already seen, they're scrolling and they forgot about it. But the second you kind of shake the pattern and change everything they're used to, that is when they can start paying attention to your social. I think there's a couple of things you got to focus on. You need to add value early on. If you don't make people feel something when they're scrolling, they're going to keep scrolling. For me now, I choose humor. It's what works really well for my top of funnel. But that doesn't mean middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, I don't create more ICP and more product content. But until you test everything, until you validate, you'll never know. So you need to just take 50, 60 days and just say, I'm going to post at least 5 to 6 days a week on these days. I'm going to take data and then I'll learn. And then from there, that's how we figured things out and figured out what content people like to see from us.
Yeah, because a lot of people say like, hey, don't go to TikTok, don't go to Instagram because my buyers are not there, but you're kind of saying the complete opposite. In the end, they're humans as well. They're probably going to be on the platforms.
They're humans as well. The moment you forget that is the moment you'll lose on social. And I think that's what most B2B does is they forget that these are humans and they forget that they don't want to be sold to. The moment they create content, they forget what content they like to watch. There's no way when you create these contents like, hey, Merry Christmas, whatever, and it's just like an image. No one cares. You're scrolling past it, right? You didn't add any value. You didn't make them feel anything. You didn't follow any of the rules. So the moment you realize that most of the rules that you've heard are wrong, I think is the best time that you'll see your brand start having some success on social.
And was that a goal, I guess? Like you mentioned, filling up your top of funnel and then, of course, engaging with your ICP. But what was the goal when you started leveraging social media? Was it purely brand awareness?
The goal has always been to have a brand that people talk about, to do things that people talk about, because we thought back to brands that we pay for. And a lot of them were things that we thought they did cool things that we really related to. There might have been 2 or 3 other softwares that did the same thing, but we felt some type of connection to that brand. We liked the way they developed. We liked the way they talked. And so we wanted to be that brand. So at the beginning, it was definitely more awareness, but it's always been lead driven as well. The way you get to lead driven is not what you think. And again, it's not just putting out ads on your social. A lot of times I was just teaching people how to use ClickUp. That was what worked really well, was just click tips. So we kind of mix it in. Like a couple of the videos would be funny, a couple of times it'd be click tips. I was the one doing the webinars at the beginning. And a lot of times what I would do is I'd have something funny happen at the beginning. The webinar wasn't completely boring. I would find little jokes I could put in there. For example, if I was teaching ClickUp, I pulled characters from Silicon Valley and made like the personas. That way it could be funny. Be like, oh, Ehrlich is doing this. So I just found more ways to make everything fun. And maybe I might do another training video and make it like a wrap. But those things did really well for us early on. And we noticed that people liked it. They would comment, hey, this is refreshing. This is a cool way to learn about your brand. And again, it got people talking. Hey, have you seen ClickUp's video? Their training videos are doing a wrap. It gets people talking. It's contagious. And that's what you want to do. You want to find other places to do it.
I didn't know this, but it's quite funny. So you combine humor with educational videos. So you're teaching them something, how to use your product, but in a really funny way to keep them engaged and to keep talking about it.
Anything to be different, anything to stand out, and anything to still get the mission across, right? As long as I'm still teaching and doing it in a cool way, adding it, who doesn't enjoy a little humor in there?
Yeah, because that was one of my questions, like what kind of content were you guys pushing out? So it was not just humor, but it was also educational content on how to actually use ClickUp, but then with funny things in between.
What's funny is our content hasn't changed but so much. It's obviously evolved and we've gotten to the style and what's popular, but we've always tried to mix in humor and we've always tried to mix in value-based content. I think we strongly believe in that. Like, think about it. We don't have time to get back to school. That's why this value-based or this teaching type content is great. Like, we all want to get better at our jobs. We all want to make more money. So if I create content that allows people to do that, that's great. And that's something they'll engage with and be appreciative of. But at the same time, almost more so, people are not going on social to learn. They're going on social to take a break. I want to give them that break in a way that's still business. It keeps up with business humor. And that's what I think we've really nailed and we're having a lot of fun doing.
And like, you're now aiming for monthly 200 million impressions. Like, you have to go probably viral with a couple of posts you're going to do out. Were you able to go viral early stage already?
The early stage, we didn't go so viral. We definitely had some things on Twitter, but I wouldn't call it consistently. Like, the key is being consistently viral. And that's not easy. Even going viral once is not easy. Most B2B brands will never experience it, right? They won't go viral because they won't change their strategy. They'll keep following the rules. But if, once you do go viral, it's a whole nother thing to start going viral consistently. That's a whole different challenge. And that's what our COO Gaurav was really smart about. He didn't just give us the rule like, hey, go viral once and you get this goal. He was like, no, the goal is for 3 months to consistently hit, first it was 20 million impressions and it was 100 million impressions. And then of course he jumps it up to 200 million. And so I'm sure once I hit 200 million, it'll be $500 million. That's just how the game works, right? And growth marketing. But, so the goal is to be consistent. It's one thing to just make one really great video and go viral. Now we have to be so strategic. We have to think of multiple videos that can go viral and then make sure the other ones we're posting still do pretty solid. So we get high numbers. It's a very tough game.
Yeah. And I guess it's something probably a lot of companies want to go at the beginning, right? They want to go viral and maybe that one time and hopefully be lucky. Like, I guess you mentioned already, like the key is to go consistently going viral. So figure out like what is working and what isn't and try to repeat that all the time. Any other advice you would give here for other founders?
The other advice I would give for other founders and what we should have done earlier on is you need to create employee-led content, founder-led content. Now you really need to win on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you need to win. The best way to win on LinkedIn is to build in public. So what I do to build in public is I set this audacious goal. Tell the world my goal, 200 million impressions, hold me to it. And then every week I just do an update. Hey, Cunningham, just checking in. This week I did not do well. You need to have those things. I think some people really appreciate the most when I say, hey, we had a rough week. We did not hit the goals. This is how I'm going to adjust. This is how I'm getting back on the battlefield. I'm not just going to complain or I'm not just going to not post this week because I didn't do good. I'm going to share with you. And then the weeks you do good, you share it. But then you also give them real insight as to how you did it, right? So I think gatekeeping is the number one way to not do great on social. The best way to do great is just be an open book. Give it all away. It took me a second to do that. One, because, I have to hire us to be like, hey, we're not giving up too much away. But what I realized is there's a whole difference in execution. And it really is true. Like, the playbooks will get out at some point anyway. No matter what you're doing, people can watch it. They can see it. So you may as well share it, get moving, and then do your best at executing better than anyone else can. And that's what I think we do at ClickUp. We build machines. We test, we take bets, we execute on those bets. And if they work really well, we increase the budget, we increase the effort, and increase the results. If it ever slows down, we move on and pivot. We don't have any ego. All these are huge secret weapons, and you better be good at building machines, especially as an early age founder, because you don't have as many employees. You don't have as many things to get going. If you don't really build that culture early on, it's not going to happen as you grow later and get more employees.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned is super practical for everybody listening. If you just build in public, you can tell your story, your milestones, anything basically, and people are really willing to check it out without having to create raps while doing a demo.
No one's asking you to create raps or crazy comedy like us. Just build, just talk. But you need to have something, because it doesn't matter their position. It doesn't have to be your VP and your CEO. Like, a sales solutions engineer and one of our other heads of content, Greg, is doing amazing at content. That's what people are overthinking. There's definitely someone at another company who can learn from Greg in our company, right? Because he's creating content for a $4 billion company. He has pretty big goals. So someone who's maybe a $200 million company, or maybe they've not even raised yet, they can learn from these people. So don't ever underestimate, I'm not this position. Get everyone posting and help them with that. Give them the resources to do it, teach them how to do it, because there is people who are better at posting on every platform, and you can learn from them. Take a little course, invest $1,000 and have them take a course, anything like that. But, have people get out there and start trying, because again, it's another at bat, right? Like, some people are never going to follow out ClickUp. No matter how great of content I posted, is not going to follow a brand account. That's okay. But a lot of people will follow someone that is in a role at a company they respect if you're giving value to them consistently. So that's why you need to hit from all fronts, not just one.
Yeah, because I think that's how I now see the content from ClickUp as well. Like, I'm not following the company account, but I will see it everywhere now via you or via somebody else.
That's cool with me.
Are you struggling to find people and companies which have access to your ideal customer profile? At Redditis, we just launched the second side of the marketplace, which allows you to search, filter, and contact B2B SaaS affiliates which have access to the audience you're looking for. We do this by leveraging first-party data sources. Want to learn more? Go to getredditis.com.
And you guys raise money, right? In the early days, you were really scrappy, making sure you get a lot of top of funnel by free social media. Like, did something change in your strategy when you guys have more money to spend?
Sure, definitely. It definitely changes when you have money. Early on, we didn't just have social media content. We hired a guy who was really good at written content as well and ranking. And we'll see if that game changes now, but that was very valuable for us early on. As far as how things change, absolutely. We definitely, once you have some money, you definitely do want to increase ads, because as great as we are, more people can see about us. And especially when you understand your CAC payback and when you're going to get that money back and what's worth spending, there's no reason not to do ads. It's a rat race, right? To get as many customers as you can and to add value. But I think we started spending more money on, and we've always spent the most money on the product. We've always been a product-led company, and I'm so proud to say that we still are, and we'll always be that way. We put more money into the product. We put more money into making things faster, building faster, shipping more features, purchasing companies that can be features, or hiring amazing engineers. That's where the majority, I would say, we go. And then we have a sales team now. We increased that. We didn't have a sales team for a while until we really raised. We were just selling as it is and going with the product. It is great to have a sales team, especially if you want to go enterprise and all that. But I definitely think we spent more on ads, and we even started spending a lot on content. At one point, we had an entire video team. And that was awesome. They were creating the best content I've ever seen. With that being said, a lot of times that stuff looks great, but on social, it's not that the high-end stuff doesn't hit as well. So for us to win on social, we had to adjust and figure that out. Now we have more of I would say we're back to that scrappy side of things. We just get some creators, we get a camera, we get an iPhone, we go out and we shoot. But we put more strategic time into it. We have a writer's room. We have a lot of plans. We work with producers and things. So like this whole game has definitely came up in budget as well with social. But even with having all this funding, nothing changed. I started with a very small budget. I got one creator. I paid him a small number a month and just asked for some videos. Then I went to my COO. I was like, hey, look, we've hit like 15 million impressions with just one creator in a small budget. I bet if we brought a second creator in, I could hit more. And then that's what we did. And that's how the HR guys really kind of came together. And, now they're the finance guys or the IT guys. They can be all these different guys, but they're creating content consistently for all kind of different audiences. It's a machine and it doesn't cost that much. They absolutely crushed it. They do an amazing job, and we're still lean. We spend a little time all together and we plan things out, and then we shoot, and then we edit, and then do it again.
Yeah, and I think it's really nice what you mentioned, that at one point you had this full video team, the fancy videos, and then you find out it's not working. So you kind of go back to what is working and then iterate based on that again.
Exactly. There's a lot of things you do when you get money, you still test. And I'm glad we tested. I still like some of that high-end quality content. Just don't know if you need it like consistently all the time. Also, being scrappy in the way you spend is important. Just because you have money doesn't mean you just start spending more. A lot of people think that. I can tell by the invoices that come in all the time. Like, no, we're not one of those companies that just write out. Like, we still negotiate. We'll always negotiate.
Nice. You mentioned already one metric, CAC payback. What are the other metrics you guys tracked when it came down to social media?
CAC payback is definitely a fun one. At the beginning, it's impressions, right? Impressions, just how many eyeballs are you getting? That's a brand awareness. Now we're tracking more signups and who's actually coming in and who's finding the tool. We do that by having a custom landing page on our social. So you only see this landing page on our socials. I know that all traffic that comes there comes from our social. And that's where I can kind of get a feel for the signups we're getting. So at the end of the day, that's really the next one. We care about signups. We want more people using the tool.
Yeah. And then based on which landing page they use, you can track them down the funnel to figure out CAC payback.
If we were a touch point or not, which is great.
Yeah. So it's basically being attributed based on the landing page they would sign up from. If they would click last on your Facebook ad or Facebook post, then they would end up there.
Sure. And to me, as long as we get them in, I don't mind. Like I realize at the beginning, people see our content, they might not know what ClickUp does, and that's cool. I just want them to recognize us. And then I want them to realize we're project management, and I want them to give us a shot when they're shopping. That's what I care about. Product, I believe in, how well we're priced and what all we have. My goal is just to make sure they think of us.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm asking for a golden nugget here, but what types of content has driven the most engagement, or maybe even better question, most conversions?
Sure. The funny content always will get the most eyeballs, right? It's just what people love, and it's gotten a lot of people there. When it comes to actually conversions, that's a different type of content. And that would be more what I would call either ICP or thought leadership content. I'll give you an example. One of the best posts we've done for signups, the best one for me was when ChatGPT first came out. I did this for my personal page. I created most people are doing hey, here's the 20 best prompts, to use ChatGPT. I'm sure you saw those posts. What I did was I came in, I was like, here's 100 or two. I think I even gave 200. Here's 200. There's something just way more value than everyone else was giving. It took time. I was like, here's 200 of the best prompts if you're in business, right, to use for ChatGPT. And I put it in a ClickUp doc. And so I put it in a way where you have to sign up to get access to the doc. So that was our record-breaking signups week, because that post went viral. I think it had 10 million views. I gained 10,000 followers. It was massively. I think it was the second most viral tweet to Elon at the time. So that was great. That's our most signups. Secondly, one that anyone else could do. I think that strategy's kind of played out. A lot of people saw the strategy, started copying it. The second one I would offer to you is you really dig deep. Go into Reddit, go into Quora, and find a problem in your space. Build something visual that solves the problem or teaches the problem, right? So for example, the problem was everyone got confused with PM versus PM versus PM. Project manager, product manager, program manager, there's way more really. But I took those three and I was like, here's what they do. Here is how they do it. Here are their KPIs. I made this beautiful little doc, and that one did a lot of signups, gained us a lot of followers, and a lot that were, really project managers in the space. You can always create content, but you need to dig deeper. You need to find an actual problem and solve it in like a beautiful way, a way that's very aesthetically pleasing to the eye and allows them to quickly, maybe 30, 40 seconds, learn something, take it in, save it, and keep it moving.
I really like the first one where you leverage your own tool to actually get people to get the value from your post. And then you're not selling anything, but in the end, you are selling something.
You can't beat that, right? You can't beat it. So we're not really selling. It's free, but you got to come on our tool.
I kind of asked it already, but I'm going to maybe dive a bit deeper on it. Like, how do you currently balance creating the entertaining / humorous content versus the educational product-driven content?
Sure. I'm very strict on my calendar. I have my Mondays, which are very geared towards creating the product content. And I have Tuesdays, which is very geared towards the funny content. So both those days, I'm kind of outlining what happens. So Monday, it's usually me who thinks of most of the product content. I might go and talk to some of my team, but usually I think of the ICP and that type of content. I just go assign it to designers to build. That's more visual, right? Then on Tuesday, I meet with what's called the writer's room. In the writer's room, that's where me, the actors, and a few others will come in, and we will speak about different video ideas. We'll pitch them, and at the end, we vote. The best ideas win. They get shot. The rest don't. We blind vote at the end. No ego, no problem. I think it's really strict to separate the times. If I try to do both in the same day, it's too much context switching. I really do not believe in context switching. You really need to be strict on your calendar. You need to find a way to separate, okay, I'm spending 90 minutes here. I'm spending 90 minutes here. And then you need to have a process afterwards. So it's not done once we do the writer's room, right? Okay, then we have to fully script it and get it out. And so we do that on Wednesday. I usually shoot on Thursday or Friday. From there, we got to check on Friday, make sure that we know who's editing what. The next week we get them together, and then we're like, okay, we're posting this one, this one, this one. So it's a whole formula that goes out each week. Maybe on Friday I think of some good designs, and then Monday I go execute it. So I'm kind of in a flow. I know when I'm pushing everything out. I know how many videos per week I can basically put out. I know how much product content I can put out. And I've kind of measured how much I think I need of each. I think I need a little more of the funny content, top of funnel, and then a little less of the product. So it's almost 65, 35, I would say, geared towards heavier towards the top of funnel fun content.
Yeah, and doing it this route, you know exactly where you're lacking at one point. If you're tracking the metrics, you can build in more content.
Exactly.
Top.
So stay on it.
That's nice. How does the social media strategy integrate with the other channels you guys are doing? You mentioned you were content heavy at the beginning. You started doing paid ads. I don't know if you guys do cold outreach. How does it all fit in?
Many ways. So we work with all the teams. So number one, we take a lot of content doing well, and then we find a way to shoot on our shoot day something that could be an ad, a really strong ad that we give to the ads team. That way it's familiar faces, it's the HR guys, but we find a way to bring the product in and still make it cool. As for cold outreach, we don't have so much of like using videos for cold outreach, but if someone gets kind of warm and they bring up like, hey, by the way, we love your content, the sales team will hit me up and I'll say, okay, let me make a video for you. And we make a custom video for that champion who's trying to get ClickUp at their company. And it's a cool way to run, hey, look what ClickUp made for us. Have you seen these guys? It stands such an easier way to close a deal. So that's how we bring it in bottom of funnel. We're also very active on campaigns. So if we're releasing a new feature, I want everyone to know about it. I'll make some funny content with those guys again, but also make really great content that teaches you the product. And that's where I mostly put on YouTube. A lot of people want to come and learn the product. I make sure they have that available. We do it in a cool way. It adds a tiny bit of humor, but it's mostly just teaching them the product. I'm always trying to create a few creative videos, like something more wild and long form. You'll see a lot more of that testing with ClickUp in 2025, really crushing the long form and maybe making it feel episodic or fun. We're going to test a lot of things until we really nail that. We're doing good on YouTube, not as great as our short form. I really want to be the best brand in B2B SaaS. The only way I'm going to do that is if we crush on every single platform.
And when you say long form, what do you mean in your terms? Is it going to be podcasting, webinars, or do you have any other things in mind?
4 minutes plus. I'm going to keep doing webinars myself and probably a podcast as well. What I really mean is something more like where you come, hang out. I look at everything as B2C and then I get ahead of it and bring it back to B2B. Think of like Dude Perfect. I'm not going to go as far as to say Mr. Beast, but like the stuff that people watch more long, the stuff people come hang out with and really spend time with. I want to find a way to do that for business. And that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be a first try, second try. That's going to take some swings, but everything good takes some effort. So I think if I put some effort in, I really crush that and I find a way people can come hang out, learn more about B2B, be entertained, then I'll really, really feel very confident what I pulled off.
Nice. Sounds interesting. I'm going to follow this. Nice. We talked about a lot of successes, how you got there, and things are working really well. But I can imagine you faced a lot of challenges while growing to 200 million impressions per month. Give me some challenges you ran into.
Some of the major mess ups for me was sometimes trying to not know everything about the product, right? Like to try to not study every release and being in sales, and that was really tough. I'll give you an example of a mess up. We almost took our content a little too seriously. We made this one funny video that did really well on social, and we thought that everyone was going to love it. So we had this video and we were presenting it at a dev conference in San Francisco, and it's all developers. And we had this video where it looks like it's a demo of ClickUp. In the middle, it like shakes and cuts up and it's me rapping. And it was a pretty hilarious rap. Like it did well on social. We decided we're going to do that at this presentation in front of all these developers in San Francisco. It's a big conference. And, we were happy to present. It was a big deal for us. And we played the video. I'll never forget, Zeb and I were both speaking on stage. As soon as we played the video, you could hear crickets. No one cared. No one thought it was funny. No one laughed. And so I looked to my right and Zeb had like snuck off the stage. He was so embarrassed. He didn't know how to continue. I had to keep it going myself. And that was a hilarious moment. I think we got too cocky in the content. Just thought everyone would love it, but we didn't know the audience or read the room. So that was a pretty funny one. Where else have we messed up? I really think that maybe we also thought that right away when we got some money that you just hire people from the top companies right away. Like, oh, they're this company, they've got to be great. And if I'm being honest, that was not the best play for us. Many of those are, not with us today. They just didn't work the same way we did. Maybe they gotten comfortable or lost the scrappiness. A big fuck up for us. We're just thinking, oh, we just hire some people from big companies. And that's probably one of the most major ones I can think of.
Yeah, I love the first one where Seb just walked off the stage as well.
He left me, man. I'm so embarrassed. He just kind of like slid right off. And I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even notice because I was so like flabbergasted. So I waited for him to like continue speech and he wasn't there. I was like, oh, I have to do this now.
Yeah. So the advice here would be like read the room or know who you're going to present it towards to make sure it's actually funny or not.
Read the room, and just because you have one content hit doesn't mean the world's going to like it. You still got to adjust.
Yeah, and in the end, an event is probably going to be different also than social media, where people are taking a break on social media versus at the event, they're
Yeah,
not there to take a break.
exactly.
Nice. And you mentioned that you guys used influencers or had partnerships to amplify the reach. Can you tell a bit more like what is working for you right now to leverage outside people?
I love influencers. I've worked with them a lot, but I haven't been doing it as much because I really like building this internal thing. So what I'm doing is getting an influencer to create a new channel and then build that channel because I own that channel. I own that ICP. So I like getting actors or whoever to create a new channel for me that I own. And then they still create on their page and they create new because I can adjust to what audience they want. Like I can build a new audience. And not every influencer has the perfect audience. So that's kind of how I work. That's my new thing. I do still like some of the LinkedIn thought leadership ads. We've had some success there. I also like getting an employee to create a post and then paying to boost that post. So getting an employee to make something kind of value-based. It's coming from a person, not the brand, and then boosting that. That's some of the strategies I've seen in influencers that's doing pretty well.
Yeah. When you hire somebody to create content for you, you want to own the channel. So you're going to put it on a channel which you own where you can control everything as well.
Yes, exactly. When I own the channel, it's better because then let's say the creator, we don't work together anymore. All good. It's not over. I can just bring in another creator. The audience is still built.
Yeah.
And those followers are valuable. So that's my new thing that we've been doing really well on. And I have tons. ClickUp Men on the Street, ClickUp Memes. I have a new show called Almost Quitting Time, which is funny business content. What I do is I watermark and put ClickUp on there. So people still see it's like a ClickUp thing, but we're creating it. I can still post those videos on our LinkedIn and things like that. So yeah, check out Almost Quitting Time. It's a really cool show that we've created. It's doing really well.
I guess you kind of mentioned already 2025. How do you see social media in 2025? You mentioned short content, or I don't know how you call it. I guess 4-minute video you mentioned. Any other things you guys will be doing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still going to, short form is going to dominate for me. So that short content is always going to be, or shouldn't say always, anything can change, but number one for now. Number two will be that mid-level, that 4-minute, mastering that type of content, have people come hang out, or maybe even a 20, 15-minute, have people come hang out. So I'll be testing a lot of that. And I'm going to be on the lookout for a new social media platform. I think we're due something new. I don't know what it's going to be, but around this time frame, there's always something new. So I'll be watching out and keeping my ear to the ground for any new ones that come up. Also, I think really trying to find a way to put our product in some of that funny content. I think I can do that more. It's going to be harder. It's going to be more of a challenge, but I think there's a way to do that. And lastly, I would say it's more like just real content, not just me talking to this camera, but me walking out and quick cuts. I think content's changing a lot. You got to have a very unique style. So I think really adapting ours to be better will be a good one as well.
Yeah, maybe one other question, because you keep mentioning the humor, right? And I love it. I like watching the videos, but I think a lot of people, probably maybe early stage founders who don't have a team, it's hard to make a SaaS product funny.
I don't think everyone should. I'm not saying just because ClickUp had successful, it doesn't mean everyone should do it. Yeah, what I would say is start building in public, start trying something, start doing a podcast like you're doing. Start doing something. Start thinking about your customer. Maybe even just start interviewing your customer, right? That's how I make good content for my customers. I interview them. And sometimes, and I probably should just turn into a podcast, but like I have Riverside, not because I've done a podcast, because I go interview like people on ICP, and I learn from them and ask them what they watch and I save it for later. So I can go back and think of what content to create. So I'll make clips of it and post clips sometimes, but that's really what I do. Start talking to your ICP, figure out what they like, and then start creating that content. It could be, or also think outside the box. What's something no one else has done that you could do that your followers would like? Start doing that, because if you just look and say, all my competitors doing this, that's cool, and do the same, it's not going to go anywhere.
So we're going to close off the podcast episode with 2 final questions. This can be more broad than just social media. What kind of advice would you give a SaaS founder who's just starting out and trying to grow to 10K monthly recurring revenue?
10K monthly recurring revenue?
Yep.
The first thing that I would do, I would get Scrappy. I would almost follow something similar to we did right away. Who's unhappy with the competitors? Who's one I can pick up, right? Find that low hanging fruit, figure that out, and then get a few clients. Just get a few people using the tool. Give it away free. Give it away free. Before you start thinking about, I need to charge everyone, you won't ever get to 10K because no one's going to use your tool enough for you to learn. So give it away free. Even if you have to lose a little money, you got to eat the money sometimes. Eat the money for a bit, figure it out. If you have to work another job, do that. But then from there, once you get people using it, obsess over them. Like seriously, talk to them all the time. Build a candy board. Ask people what they want. But we used to send these little quick surveys, like 2-question surveys. Like we would start a survey with 10, and then we start voting. People are not going to fill out 10. But if we give them 2, maybe 3 max, what's the most important things that could change a company if we ask these questions? And that's what we would ask ourselves, and we'd send it out. And we got a lot of people really got us a lot of answers. We take those answers. We come back and say, hey, okay, we implemented that. What do you think? Show them you're implementing. Show them you're moving fast. Show them you care about their responses. put it into action and show them results. So we come back and say, hey, look, 80% of you want this. That's what we're doing. We'll have it done in a week, and then come back to them. Show them how scrappy you are, and then scale the room. Then what you do is once you get a lot of people and you're loving and they see your mission, then all at once, send out a code, send out something. Pretend you're AppSumo for a bit. That's what we did. And we just said, hey, look, we actually realized we needed money. So like, look, we were trying to keep this free for as long as we could, but we need money to keep building and paying everyone. You get it. How about we offer you 60% off now, knowing this rate will never be there again, for a couple of years. And, you can get in early and say you were early people with ClickUp. And that's what we did. And way more people bought than we expected.
Nice. So in the end, you kind of ran your own LTD lifetime deal.
We did. We ran our own.
Yeah, I love it. Let's assume then we passed the 10K MR stage and we're going to make a huge step towards 10 million ARR. What kind of advice would you give SaaS founders here?
I think from there, you gotta get a little more relentless, right? So I think you got to pay attention to every customer that comes in. You've got to ask for referrals. You've got to build. So what we would do is we would get someone in, a small team in Home Depot, right? And then find a way to close that team, and then find a way to really go through that team and say, okay, look, what would it take for get your whole company to use this, right? Like I see your marketing team. What would it take? What do you need us to do? And then start getting whole entire teams using you like that. Even if you charge less per seat and hook up a deal, I think you really got to make some deals. You got to really make some. It's not devaluing your product. It's getting more people on. It's getting bigger, and then they're going to tell more people about it. So from that 10K to 10 mil, we really started doing a good job of infiltrating teams and just start adding immense value, and then figuring out what you need to build. Be very strategic in what you build, and then also find a really cool way, something that's free where people can find you, right? Like something that you can build and then just not charge for it. Like we did a little like tool that would allow you to clip and things like that in your Chrome extension. We built like a Chrome extension, right? That we give away free. So find something that's kind of like viral, that's easy to use, that you can give someone and they use it free and they start using your tool.
Nice. Exactly. Build a growth loop, build a viral loop.
Exactly.
Here. Let me see if I can try to summarize. If you're going to start out with social media, start scrappy, be different, add value, make them feel something. Definitely engage with the comments, so don't just put things out and don't do anything after. If you want to use social media the other way, track your competitors, see negative reviews, start omnipresent, experiment and test what is actually working. Combine humor with educational videos, make it value-based, start rapping during a demo. The key is basically consistently going viral. Don't just do it once, but keep trying to do it, which is going to be hard. One way to do it is build in public. LinkedIn is a great way to do it. Doesn't always have to be the founder. You can use employee generated content. Fancy videos don't always work. Just do it with an iPhone or anything you have already. You don't need to have all the fancy gear. If you're going to track KPIs, start with impressions. And a great one you mentioned is landing pages per social to track conversions. Thought leadership's posts work really well. Leverage your own tool. And then if you want to find things to post about, find a problem on Reddit, Quora, and then solve it via the post you're going to put out. Build a content calendar to remain focused. When using influencers, have you own the own channel. So make sure you actually own the channel so you can use it later down the line as well. If you're going to go for to 2025, short form is going to be key. Mid form is going to be something you guys will be experimenting with, and you're going to keep the humor into it. If you don't, again, know what to do, interview customers, create content ideas from it. And if you're just starting out, 10K MLR, find low-hanging fruit. Find people who don't like your competitor, ask for feedback, and put it into action right away. 10 million ARR, ask for referrals to infiltrate teams and companies and build that viral loop. Nice.
That's solid, man. It's a study guide I need to remind myself.
Exactly. If we want to get in contact with you, Chris, how can they?
I'm really easy to reach. Chris at ClickUp.com, at Cunningham on Instagram and TikTok, and Chris ClickUp on LinkedIn and Twitter.
We're going to add links to everything so people can just click on them. We're also going to reference the Almost Quitting show you mentioned. I'm really curious about that one. Haven't seen it yet. Any final pieces of advice towards SaaS founders before we close off?
Yeah, if anyone needs help, I'm available to do consulting. I'm on intro.com. If anyone needs help or wants some strategy, it's not easy to start, but it is easy to build a process and get it going. So if I can help anyone, I would love to do so. I'll send you my intro link as well. And as for last advice, just don't follow what everyone else does. Feel what you like. Really start testing and treat it like ads. Test for a while. Don't give up after 1 week when it doesn't work. It won't work after 1 week. And it's not like we work after 1 week, and things that do work will stop. It's like ads. You got to refresh it. You got to keep trying, but don't give up, because once you do get it, it is really worth it to have a brand that people know and care about.
Nice. Keep it going and keep having humor and fun in the meantime.
Have some fun with it too.
Nice. For people listening, please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts so we can beat the algorithms. We are going to add a poll on Spotify. Let us know what you thought of this show. Thanks again for coming on, Chris.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you for watching this show of the Grow Your B2B SaaS podcast. You made it till the end, so I think we can assume you liked this content. If you did, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you like this content, feel free to reach out if you want to sponsor the show. If you have a specific guest in mind, if you have a specific topic you want us to cover, reach out to me on LinkedIn. More than happy to take a look at it. If you want to know more about Veritas, feel free to reach out as well. But for now, have a great day and good luck growing your B2B SaaS.